Good morning, YouTube. Brian here with VetteSource, checking in on a pretty mild, cloudy day here in Southeast Texas. Looking for some bad weather coming in tomorrow. Figured I'd do a quick video for you guys. Today we're gonna swing back over to our Allante burn rebuilder. If you followed some of my videos, I've got a link right above my head here as I'm talking. This is one of the 4 Allantes that I somehow managed to end up with. I'm down to 3. I parted out the other one. There's another link above my head to show some of the videos I made of dismantling that car pretty hard and fast here in the street. So today we're swinging back around, revisiting the 92 burn Allante, and actually this car, all it did, if I can find the hood release, burned up in the headlight area. The actual parking lamp burned, and last video I took of this car, you saw that I had torn it down to the substructure, unibody, front end, and where they damaged it, moving it around in the salvage pool. So today you can see I've got it kind of reassembled. I've got to do some final adjusting. I'm probably going to end up taking the fender back off, this replacement fender, because it's got a big old nasty dent in it right here that I need to kind of pop out a little bit. And the door got boogered up a little bit on this corner where it got shoved back into there, so I'm going to probably play with that a little bit. And little other things here, but you can see it's actually almost back together. Was running pretty good, and then I realized the funny thing is that as I'm starting the car up every 3rd or 4th time, it did not want to start for me. Now, if you're familiar with some of these cars and you play with GM cars, even Fords, all the cars in the 80s and 90s had the electric fuel pump systems installed in most of them, and they work really good when they work, and when they don't work, they suck. So this car here suffered from a failing fuel pump. So what you've got is, and a quick way to diagnose this is if you look and you can see how clean this car is. I need to clean it up a little bit. See that fuel pressure regulator is right here, right? And then we've got fuel rails here, fuel injector. Now this is a V8 powered car, front wheel drive V8. So it's pretty stout, but your fuel lines come in from there. There's your hard lines. That's a return line. Hard line is right there. This would be your fuel pressure regulator system. So sometimes this will go bad and won't regulate the fuel pressure correctly. This is really not the issue we've got here, but they did make it convenient. They've hooked a Schrader port here so you can check fuel pressure. So, you know, as you can see on this one, I've just got the gauge hooked up to it, and it's actually reading under 20. I don't think this is quite right. I think this is just while the car is turned off. But you know, the highest excuse me, the highest I would ever get out of it was 30 psi. It was not actually pumping out what it was supposed to. The fuel pumps are supposed to put out 40 to 45 on these cars to maintain pressure. So with that being said, what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to go ahead and swap the fuel pump out in this before it starts raining on us tomorrow. And I'll do a hard and fast fuel pump swap on this car while it's sitting in the street. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to get the car jacked up, get access to the fuel tank, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be back in a minute, guys. Hang tight. All right, guys, we're back. We've got our Allante jacked up, supported on jack stands with the jack at the back cross member, just in case we need to have extra support, in case something falls. Also, I would advise, just for you guys and girls that are watching me, when you're working underneath the car, this is pretty much our complement of tools we're going to need. The fuel tank assemblies are not terribly difficult to get out, so you've got a 10, 13, 15, and 18, not an 18, I'm sorry, on GMs with, of course, PVT Blaster, which is a really good product when you're dealing underneath the car. Gloves, of course, and safety goggles I recommend. If you're getting underneath the car, especially a car like this is a really clean car, but it did come from up north originally, so it's got some flaky corrosion on the metal. And the last thing you want when you're working underneath the car is for dirt or metal flakes to drop into your eyeballs. Trust me, guys, it is not a fun thing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick where the tank is located on this Allante. As you can see here in my video, you've got your single exhaust pipe. There's catalytic converter exhaust pipe coming in, and it actually snakes over to the passenger side of the car. And there's our fuel tank, and it is held in with just 4 bolts, 2 straps. So there's a bolt there. It's a bolt on the back side that I can't really see from here. Here's our fuel filter. Fuel lines, like I said, you can see they're kind of flaky. just from there. And the only thing that's a little difficult on this one is up in this corner, tucked in there, you really can't see is our fuel inlet hose. So once I drop the tank down, I'll be able to get more access to that flathead screw there, so I can release that. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting this tank out. It shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes, but of course with the video you can just click right back in, or actually I'll edit it out so you can see right when I've got it done here in a second. So I'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, we're back. We've got our fuel tank removed and our fuel pump and sending unit removed from the tank, which wasn't that much fun because, as we discovered, or I may have talked about earlier, this car was actually from up north, so it had a fair amount of corrosion on the car and most inconvenient spots that you could think of. So you can see around there that this actually takes a ring that seals it, and it was all corroded up and nasty, and the bolts were bad. But you know, one thing you got to do when you're looking at salvage cars, buying them from the auction, you want to make sure that what they do sometimes is they'll run northern cars through the southern auctions because they look clean, but then you get underneath them and they're kind of a rust nightmare. So we'll keep looking at this car a little bit longer. I don't think it's a bad rust nightmare, but there's just enough corrosion on it to know it came from up north. And actually you can see maybe here, if I get underneath it, that there's quite a bit of corrosion here on the lines, the surface, but not so much over on that side. So I'll let you guys make a guess in the comments below if you know why that is, that they rust more on one side, the cars from up north, than the other. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll tell you. We'll see who can guess first, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and get the new fuel pump installed and back in the car again, and we'll check back in a minute once I got the new fuel pump assembly on here, and I'll show you guys how to disassemble it. So I'll be back in a second. Okay guys, we've got the fuel sending unit out of the car with the new fuel pump and supplies here sitting next to it. As you can see, this is our new fuel pump assembly. It's not a really big thing. You wouldn't imagine this is what basically supplies fuel to the whole car, but there is your electrical connectors. If I can get to focus in right there, and there is your inlet pipe to the fuel feed that comes out right here, and there is where it draws it from the tank at the bottom. There's actually little gears inside there. So as you can see, the old unit sits on here like this. This is basically a vibration dampener that controls it from pulsing or fuel knock, that kind of stuff, or fuel line knock, and then the connector just fits into the top there. So what it does, it comes up the pipe, out of the pipe, over back to the main fuel feed line. So not real complicated. I'm gonna go ahead and swap this one out. This one actually looked pretty bad on the outside, but inside it looks pretty good. And also, just for fun, your sending unit is over on this side. Not sending unit, but your fuel level unit is right here. So what that does, see that little potentiometer right there, just goes back and forth when there's a float attached to this. I have it detached right now. This is your float right here, and what it does is that arm goes up and down and creates resistance along that electrical signal. There's just some coil windings right there. I think I can show you on the other side here. They might be covered up, but anyway, that's basically how it tells you how much fuel is in the car. So nothing too complex, but interesting to see nonetheless. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together with our new pump assembly, and once we get the tank installed, I'll show you guys what our finished product is. Hang on just a second. Okay guys, we're back, and as you can see, putting the tank back in took a little bit longer than it did to take it out, just because, again, we're talking about rusty bolts and some other things that I had to kind of get working to make it work. But here we're going to go ahead and test our work and make sure we did everything correctly. As you can see, I've got my fuel pressure gauge right here to show us what our fuel pressure is. So what I'm going to do real quick is, we got our new pump installed, tanks installed, everything's fairly buttoned up. I got a few things I do back tomorrow when daylight comes, but I wanted to finish this video up. So let me go ahead and get this moving forward. That's one thing I do like about the Allante. It's got a really cool dash. Let's see what our fuel pressure is. We've got right at about 40, which is close to where this gauge probably is not that accurate. It's a cheapie at Pittsburgh. But let's see what we got. Let's see if it'll start for us. So I'm not gonna jump in because I'm dirty, but there it goes. That's what we were looking for. So we had a bad fuel pump, obviously weak. We'd start the car once every third or fourth time. Now it's working. So that's good. Let me shut off my compressor here. If you haven't ever encountered the inside of an Allante before, they're quite luxurious automobiles. Like I said, I like the dash more than anything. I think it's kind of cool. My light's shining there. As you can see, it's kind of a neat. Let's see if I can see from this angle. You can watch the tachometer rev up, but it's kind of cool. See here, I got parking lights right here, so I can turn the parking lights on so you guys can see what this car looks like in the nighttime or evening, dusk. So yeah, it's a fairly pretty car. It's, you know, kind of not very well known anymore, just because everybody forgot about these. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out. That'll be it for today's video, I should say, but ending in tonight. And next time I'll probably do a little more work on the orange Corvette over there. We're gonna go take that for a road trip and road test what we've done in our work. So again, if you guys like the videos, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can see when I'm making new videos. And thanks again for humoring me and watching as I work on these cars. Thanks guys, catch you next time.